major damage is what our team on the ground is telling us about the tornado that touched down about an hour ago in far northern Weld County near Hereford. Our Becky Ditchfield and our newest meteorologist and storm chaser Corey Reppenhagen showed you the tornado live on the air as it was happening. They were in a safe spot and they have since made it up to where that tornado came down in a rural area. They report seeing a few power lines on the ground, nothing too serious. There's a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock for Larimer, Weld, Logan, and Washington counties, as well as parts of Wyoming and Nebraska. And as always, we will let you know if anything significant develops while we are here on the air. The University of Colorado Board of Regents is hitting 3 of its best-known employees where it hurts, in the wallet. They are being punished for how they handled domestic violence allegations against former assistant football coach Joe Tumpkin. CU Chancellor Phil DeStefano will be suspended for 10 days without pay. How much pay, you say? Well, it comes out to about $17,000 for Mr. DeStefano. Football coach Mike McIntyre and athletic director Rick George have both been directed to make a $100,000 donation to a domestic violence education program. All 3 get letters of reprimand. Investigators found 3 major issues in how CU handled that investigation. Failure to report the domestic violence allegations which were brought to them, failure to report it to law enforcement, and failure on the part of Tumpkin's supervisors. The investigation says that the chancellor, the AD, and the football coach should have known to report those allegations made against their colleague to law enforcement. The former coach, Tumpkin, is now facing assault charges. The Longmont Housing Authority is starting an internal investigation following our reporting on warrantless police searches of their low-income tenants. Housing Authority emails show board members trying to figure out how they could meet without me finding out about it. Whoops. Don't put it in an email, people. Open records law. Board member Peter Lindert emailed, if we give notices for a special meeting, you could bet that Kyle Clark will be there. May need to look into protocol for executive session with our attorneys so we can assess outside of the limelight. A City of Longmont spokesman says he doesn't believe that the Housing Authority has yet had a secret meeting, but he's not absolutely sure. A quick word on why this matters. Public notices exist to allow you, the public, to know what your government agencies are doing. In this case, to recap, 2 government agencies in Longmont, the Housing Authority and the Police Department, had teamed up to combine mandatory landlord inspections of low-income housing with warrantless police searches for drugs, which of course residents could constitutionally refuse. When we made this public, police pulled out of the arrangement. In internal emails we obtained through the Colorado Open Records Act, Housing Authority board members didn't express a bit of concern over the warrantless searches, just worries that we might find out what's happening and tell you, the public, that that government agency is supposed to serve. When someone chooses to drive drunk, you don't want any doubt about the accuracy of the breathalyzer test. Valid breath results that can hold up in court protect both the accused and all the rest of us on the road. Colorado's breath tests are now on trial in one man's DUI case in Gilpin County. For more than a year, the state was stamping breathalyzer machine certifications with the name of somebody who used to work for the state. That presents a legal question about all those results, and for the second time this year, the Colorado Criminal Defense Bar is asking the governor for an independent investigation.
If they weren't properly certified and the process wasn't properly done to make sure that they are reliable, then how can we ever say that they're reliable? If they don't give us enough information to trust them with, how can we trust it? So no, breath testing in the state of Colorado right now is not reliable. And it's up to the governor to make sure that it becomes reliable.
Governor spokeswoman told us today there will be no independent investigation. They have confidence in the results. The race to be the next governor of Colorado is going to be delicious, spicy fun. There's another big-name candidate in the race, and Congressman Jared Polis brings with him a sizable bank account to a primary against fellow Democratic Congressman Ed Perlmutter and others. The Republican field, including a few fat-walleted challengers, will be battling on the other side. Politics guy Brandon Ritteman calls that job security.
Democrats have several serious names already to choose from in the primary for governor, but the 2 congressmen are the early frontrunners because of the jobs they've already got. Perlmutter is seen as a centrist and much loved by the establishment. Polis is unabashedly liberal and has a history of using his personal wealth to tell the establishment just where they can stick it.
So that's an asset to some extent, because we're in an anti-establishment sort of let's be authentic, let's be wild mood, but it's also a problem.
Cerulli means it's a problem for the Democrats, who overnight are looking at a governor's primary that's costlier because Polis is a multimillionaire, earlier because they all have to raise money right now to keep up, and has at least potential to be uglier because all but one of them have to lose. Over on the Republican side, District Attorney George Brockler is arguably the frontrunner, but we're still waiting on some big names to decide whether to jump in. Meantime, Colorado will have something rare: 2 open seats in Congress. Democrats feel pretty good about holding on to both. They have a 7-point registration advantage in Polis's district in Boulder and beyond, and an 8-point advantage in Perlmutter's, the western Denver suburbs.
I don't think the Republican Party, for example, will target them. I'm not even sure the Democratic Party will target them, to, in other words, give them extra attention. Obviously, they want to hold them. Whereas, on the other hand, I think the governorship, I think, is going to get a lot of attention. Hickenlooper doesn't want to lose it. He has sort of national aspirations to at least be involved nationally, and delivering his own governorship is going to be an important part of it. And Mr. Polis just complicated that.
For Next, I'm Brandon Ritteman.
Have to ask the question, is the A-line working today? The train to the plane? Yes. Day to day? It's getting by. RTD has a bigger issue at this point, and perhaps we need to change our nightly question to, will the A-line ever work the way it's supposed to? Without the extra safety measures of the flaggers and the horns blaring every time it goes through an intersection. The answer to that question right now is no. Denver Transit Partners is the private partner that works with RTD on the A-line. And a letter from the DTP last month tells RTD it can no longer meet deadlines to improve the A-line's functionality using technology that exists today. So DTP wants to stop getting fined for missing deadlines, like improving the timing of the crossing gates. The letter suggests this is as good as it gets for the A-line for now. And until the crossing gates work as federal regulators want, the crossing guards have to stay, and so do the blaring horns.
DTP was merely expressing concerns over meeting the Federal Railroad Administration and Colorado Public Utilities Commission requirements within a specific deadline. They do not say that they will never be met. It is within the specific deadlines that are approaching.
RTD says the crossing gate issue is getting closer to being fixed, but sometimes they're still coming down too early and staying down too late. Again, we know that's the better problem to have with crossing gates. You don't want the opposite. And as we've mentioned, until the A-line is working correctly, the new G-line out to Wheat Ridge and Arvada can't get going, although they are doing some testing. There is a big old Amazon center opening up in Thornton. We say big, we mean it. 2.4 million square feet of building space. The center is going to be at the northeast corner of I-25 and 144th Avenue. This is a sort facility, so it's somewhat different than the other Amazon facilities in Colorado. We're talking small products, things that are 18 inches wide and smaller will move through the new setup in Thornton. There will be a ton of robots doing most of the work, but they will need humans too. For now, we are still the overlords. There will be 1,500 humans employed by Amazon at this new plant. That will make Amazon the largest employer in the city of Thornton, right past the city of Thornton. No experience needed. They will train you up. There are no state incentives for this project because the state says Amazon is not paying enough to its workers, but the jobs will pay more than minimum wage.
In a lot of ways, this is good news for workers, because if a job is so simple that it can be done by a robot, why would a human being want to do this work? Human beings are capable of a lot more. And so it should free us from work that's really beneath human dignity and give us the opportunity to do things that are more interesting and meaningful, bring purpose to our lives.
So thanks, helper robots. Quick question, though, about the flying robots. We've heard this about Amazon before. The company tell us no drones at this facility in any situation. Not happening. Don't get excited about this. But they do say that having the sort facility closer to Denver means people in this area should get faster deliveries. They'll start construction by the end of the month, thinking they'll be done by the summer of 2018. Whew, another hot one. Man, it would be nice to jump in a pool. Hint, hint, Denver. Yay. They're trying to fix them as fast as they can. We go back to high school to hear if a physics teacher knew that he had a future NASA astronaut in his classroom. And searching high and low for the origin of 420 next. It'll be 90 again next weekend, and city pools should be open by that point. City workers are busting it to get these pools working. Congress Park is expected to be open by the end of the week. The La Alma Waterslide Pool and Berkeley Rec Center Pool are now open. Those three pools we told you last week had maintenance issues. But in fairness, you know, Denver, it's not even officially summer yet.
Yep, 8 more days until the official start of the summer season, but man, it felt like it today. 90s and mostly sunny skies here in Denver. A far cry from that up in northern Colorado, where we saw severe thunderstorms and even confirmed tornadoes touching down right there across our border in through Wyoming. Huge hail. Severance picking up looks like tennis ball size hail in Timnath, about golf ball size hail, $half sized in Loveland and in Nunn as well. Tornado watch continues until 8 p.m. This is primarily going to be for northern Colorado. For now, most of the action has really started to wind down here in Fort Collins, Greeley, and up through Weld County. For now, the tornado warnings continue in eastern Wyoming and western Nebraska near Scottsbluff, as well as just to the northwest of Kimball. A whole lot of lightning, huge hail, these thunderstorms, as well as potential tornadic activity continuing throughout the evening. Up there, around here, it's been so quiet on HD.9, nothing really going on. Tomorrow, though, we do have a front that's going to be pushing in, bringing a few clouds, possibly a few isolated showers to northern Colorado out across the northwestern side, but otherwise we're looking pretty good. Here comes the front. It cools us off, but it also kicks up our winds quite a bit as we head toward tomorrow. We get that brief break with temperatures in the 70s and 80s here around the metro area, and then the numbers just continue to climb. There's that 90-degree on Saturday, but possibly a couple of thunderstorms as well. Okay?
Danielle, may I make a recommendation? It's high time you check out one of our favorite podcasts. Start with the episode of Criminal that begins with Colorado's missing 420 mile markers. A ton of people thought it was totally cool, man, to steal the signs that are an ode to marijuana culture. So Colorado just replaced 420 mile signs with 419.99 mile signs. Criminal goes on to pinpoint the origin of 420, back to a group of marijuana smokers in California decades ago who used 420 as slang for the time that they would meet to smoke. There's a link to the podcast on the next Facebook page. We meet a physics teacher who treasures a photo sent by a former student, future astronaut.
He gave it to me a few years after he graduated, and I'll have it up there for as long as I'm here.
Dr. Max and Steve are back at it, talking about why we tend to stare at each other at red lights. And the most Colorado thing we saw today is innovation at its finest. Next. 2 Coloradans are in NASA's new class of 12 aspiring astronauts. Matthew Dominic went to school at Devlin in the Jeffco school system, and that's where we caught up with one super proud physics teacher. Students come, students go.
Used to the kids being here.
They are bodies in motion.
I'm usually not here too much in the summer.
Bryant McKillips has taught each of those bodies physics.
It's a great discipline to teach. It's kind of like math with toys, you know, so.
He tells them, there's no need to cry. Physics is fun.
Yeah, that's my sort of motto. So I don't think all kids would agree with the sentiment, but I'm going for it. So.
And perhaps nobody in motion understood that, like Matthew Dominic.
But you can kind of get his whole personality right there.
He graduated in 2000.
Well, he was smart as a whip, so he was like one of those kids that kind of kept you on your toes, and I mean, it didn't surprise me at all when I heard it was him.
Heard that Dominic is this close to becoming an astronaut.
Because he was the kind of go-getter that was going to make that kind of thing happen. You know, Mommy, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut, as being something that's not really all that realistic, and hey, there it is right there. So
a body in motion.
Brought a great sense of humor to the classroom, so he's a really memorable kid.
From McKillips' classroom years ago, out into the world and beyond.
My wife calls them paydays, when you get some kind of a note from a kid, because that really is just kind of the shot in the arm that keeps you going.
The other Coloradan in NASA's class of spaceflight trainees is Jessica Watkins from Lafayette. She went to Fairview High School in Boulder and is now a postdoctoral fellow at Caltech. If there's some teacher at Fairview who is geeking out about the fact that she might be an astronaut, we'd love to talk to you as well. Jessica and Matthew will report for duty in August. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a Colorado cooler. And by cooler, we mean a natural spring that runs into Opal Lake in Archuleta County, southeast of Pagosa Springs. T. Carter tweeted this video to us, got our attention with the hashtag HeyNext, says the water was about 40 degrees, perfect temperature to cool off some beer. I'm squinting at the tiny television in front of me trying to recognize cans. I think that's DBC's new coconut IPA, which is delicious. Cheers to all of you. Dr. Max and Steve are back when we return to talk about those awkward moments when you're staring at somebody sideways at a red light and they're staring back. That and your feedback next.
Here with 9 News psychologist Dr. Max Wachtel, talking about that awkward moment when you pull up to a traffic light and you do the staring thing. Like, say someone's standing on the corner and you see that they're looking at you and you look at them quickly and then turn away.
Yeah, like I think we should probably do it to this person
like
here.
If we do it here,
yeah,
we kind of give them the look. They're talking, so they might not be paying much attention.
They are. Nope, we just got a little stare and then he turned his head.
He's still kind of looking.
Yeah. So here's the deal. There is research out now that says that when you pull up to a stoplight like this and somebody is staring at you from the sidewalk, it makes you extremely uncomfortable and you are much more likely to speed through the intersection as soon as you get a green light. Like, this guy's going to take off.
This guy does not want to be here much longer. Like, or if we look at this guy, he gave the quick look and then turned right away.
That's right, yeah.
So it's basically just a feeling of being uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I mean, think of it, it's weird. It feels uncomfortable and awkward, and you just want to escape that as quickly as you possibly can, and so you just hit the gas.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that when you're in your car, you feel like you're in a private place.
I think that's a big part of it. You know, you're alone, maybe you're just with 1 or 2 other people, you feel like you're the only people there, you're in your little room. I think it's the same phenomenon as like the nose picking kind of thing. You know, everybody picks their noses.
Especially here, because it's so dry.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, and then you look over and everybody's staring at you. Well, that's what we're doing now. We're freaking people out. We may even catch some people picking their nose. I don't know.
Yeah. The weirdest part of this too is that they actually did a study on this.
Yeah. So the question there is not so much like, you know, we make people awkward. And, you know, I mean, that's pretty obvious. The real question is, why did they actually do this study? Why did they do this study? And I think the answer is science. You know, it's interesting. The road safety, I'm not exactly sure. But now we have the study and we know it's been scientifically proven. We are freaking these people out right now.
Figuring out the way people react, it's just kind of fun.
It's human nature and it's interesting.
Dr. Max Wachtel, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Let's go freak some more people out.
Excellent.
We finished with your feedback, and lots of it, on the Longmont Housing Authority trying to hide its board meeting from us and from you. Jacob writes, that's one way to know you're doing your job as a journalist. I guess so, Jacob. I'm just still waiting for any leader in Longmont to take issue with this rather than circling the wagons. And a business professor on this program said that robots will free humans from work that's beneath our dignity so we can do more meaningful things. Tammy says no job is beneath people. Comment sends the wrong message. That's a thoughtful perspective, Tammy. We'll see you next time.